1 Samuel 1:1-20. In this chapter, we can read a short story. The man called Elkanah has two wives. One was called Hanna and the other Peninnah. They lived in Ramah. Peninnah had children, but Hanna had no children. Every year this man Elkanah and his wives went up to Shiloh to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty. The Lord shows his power to drive near to God, and he made a way for his purpose through her. The Lord has closed her womb. But her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. This went on year after year. Whenever Hanna went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her till she wept and would not eat. Hanna was sad, had undergone a severe stressful time in her life.
Hanna had a good, caring and loving husband, Elkanah. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give a portion of meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hanna he gave a double portion because he loved her. The Lord had closed her womb. Elkanah, her husband, would say to her, "Hanna, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons?" Once when they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hanna stood up to pray. Eli the priest was sitting on a chair by the doorpost of the Lord's temple. Wherever praying people are, there is watching eyes and judging people also around us, like Eli. Hanna loved God. Hanna went up to God's presence to pray. She knew where she could get a great blessing in bitterness of soul. Hanna wept much and prayed to the Lord and made a vow, saying, "O Lord Almighty, if you will only look upon your servant's misery and remember me and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give them to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head." As she kept on praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hanna was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli the priest thought she was drunk, and said to her, "How long are you going to be drunk? Put away your wine." 1 Samuel 1 verses 15, 16 and 17. "Not so, my lord," Hanna replied, "I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief." Eli answered, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." God knew our desire and needs. Every troubling situation provokes us to bring back to God. Put this situation us pray to God. We need to pray concerning our problems. When all the situations are good, we forget to pray.
Hanna, mother of Samuel. When mothers pray for their children, the powerful prayer can make many differences in their life. We see many successful praying mothers in the Bible. If you are going through Hannah's situation, praying for a child, or already have children not listening, being a rebellion, do not stop praying. Continuously pray like Hanna. Your prayer can make a difference in their life. Have you ever experienced any successful prayer story in yours or your children's life? Do pray like Hanna.
Hanna has a rival kept making her angry. Hanna's rival is Peninnah, another wife of Elkanah. While Hanna was praying, she forgave the bitterness that her rival made in her. Hanna's prayer to God, saying, "Look upon your servant's misery and remember me. Do not forget your servant, but give her a son," made a vow to God. This vow shows she was completely submitted to obeying God's word. Hanna asked for a son, her commitment to the child, by bringing in the right way how the child should be in the Lord's presence, and knowing and experiencing that the blessing comes from God. 1 Samuel 1 verses 19-20 says, "God remembered Hanna and gave her a son. She named him Samuel, saying, Because I asked the Lord for him." 1 Samuel 1 verses 25-26. Hanna kept her promise. She brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh, and met the priest who despised her earlier. Said to him, "As surely as you live, my lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord." 1 Samuel 1 verses 27-28. "I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will be given over to the Lord." And he worshipped the Lord there. 1 Samuel 2:21. "And the Lord was gracious to Hanna. She gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Meanwhile, the boy Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord." Hanna asked for a child, but God blessed her greatly with 3 sons and 2 daughters. If you pray like Hanna, forgive, humble yourself, put your request, hope for the best, and wait for his time. A great blessing is waiting for you. God bless you.